revealed the numbers. So there has been a slight hike from compared to past year, which is 3.29 lakh registrations happened this year. Past year it was 3.28 lakh, which was a 30% probably rise from the past decade or so. So that's one thing. So we know that the numbers are high and there will be competitions, but at the same time the the number of seats in the IIMs have also increased, and IITs and NITs have also increased. So probably there will be ample of opportunities for the CAT aspirants.
And we also know that IIM Guwahati perhaps is going to start taking students this year.
Correct. So
that's what this is an announcement, though their campus and etc. is not ready yet as per the information. But yeah.
Correct. So that is the 22nd IIM which now would be in place. So that's a good news. And the other thing, of course, is you are going to talk about the VARC and the DILR today about the practical problems and how to enhance the scores in real-time situations what we face during the exam. The other thing also I would like to remind once again the viewers that yes, 3 top B schools are closing their applications on 22nd of November, which is like MDI Gurgaon. It closes at 5 p.m. and the other 2, which is IIFT and SP Jain, they are closing of course at.
If I'm not wrong, FMS also.
FMS, I will have to just check. I'll confirm.
Faculty of Management Studies is also closing on 22nd.
Okay. So maybe these are the 4 B schools which students should definitely apply before 22nd. And of course, there are mock tests available for VARC and DILR, which you would definitely share. So over to you, Dhruvo. We're looking for a great session as usual.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, I hope viewers out here, I hope that you people have started how do I say, winding yourself down. Okay, it is important that slowly and steadily we come down to a level wherein अभी थोड़ा practices कम कर देना है, थोड़ा unwinding करना है, थोड़ा सा, I will not say chillax mode, but yeah, we'll need to come down and slowly and steadily bring down your pace. Theoretically speaking, you have now got exactly 7 days. 23rd को बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ाई नहीं करना है, 24th को जाके एग्जाम देना है. That should be the strategy. So from 15th to 22nd is what we are looking at a window right now for CAT. Okay. Before I start with the discussion, let me remind you, जो मैं हर बार बताता हूँ कि CAT is not the only exam. So therefore CAT जैसा भी जाएगा, because we will discuss it by the end of the session today also, that CAT जैसा भी जाएगा, it is not the end. अच्छा गया चाहे बुरा गया, ZAT के लिए प्रिपरेशन करना है, SNAP के लिए प्रिपरेशन करना है, NMAT के लिए प्रिपरेशन करना है. तो therefore this is the exam season, this is the time to do preparations. This next 1 month is going to be the exam season per se for all the exams that you are going to write, and therefore next 7 days you should start unwinding, relax a little bit. Okay, I will talk about the VARC section today. Yeah, okay. I hope you can see the screen. Right, the VARC and the LRDI section is what we are going to talk today, and I have specifically kept it keeping in mind that there are only 7 days left. So we are going with an assumption that you have already practiced, you know your lacunae, you know how good or bad you are in these 2 sections, what are your strength areas, what are your weak areas, and etc. This is not a session to tell you how to prepare VARC or LRDI. This is a session to tell you what do I do in the next 7 days, what are the things that you need to keep in mind in the next 7 days for VARC and LRDI. Okay, so that is the objective of the session today. Let me start by keeping in mind the sample paper that CAT has released on their website. Now, the first thing first is everybody should go through the sample paper that has been released on the website. The sample paper that has been released on the website has a different structure for LRDI vis-a-vis CAT 22 and CAT 23, which is why I am saying that this is something which you might expect this year. So if anybody has gone through the sample paper has got 22 questions of LRDI, but and this is not new. Let me put a disclaimer that this is not new. This has happened earlier, but having said that, it has not happened in 22, it has not happened in 23. So this has got one set with 2 questions, which is all the set with 2 questions is almost fully textual. There is no graph, there is no data, no numbers. It is a absolutely fully textual set with 2 questions. There are 2 sets with 4 questions each, and then there are 2 sets with 6 questions each. This is the structure of the sample paper that has come on the CAT IIM website. Okay, now therefore you might get a paper of this type. As I said, this is not something which is new. This has happened earlier. This has happened in CAT 20 also. This has happened in CAT 19 also. So therefore ऐसा नहीं है कि ये बहुत नया स्ट्रक्चर है, बट क्योंकि लास्ट 2 साल में ऐसा नहीं था, इसलिए मैं आपको जस्ट बता दे रहा हूँ. We should be ready with 1 set of 2 questions, 4 sets of 5 questions each, etc. You should be ready with any other type of pattern that you have. Okay. So my suggestion to every student who is attending this session, that don't miss out on trying to solve the sample paper that is given on the website. Okay, that sample paper should definitely be tried out. Whatever we are going to discuss today, you can apply that on the sample paper. You can apply that on the Campus Sutra test that we'll be talking about by the end of this session. The fundamental thing that I'm trying to say is that the sample paper shows something different from the last 2 years, and the last 2 years had a different pattern. So therefore, even if there are 22 questions, I don't expect CAT to change number of questions overall total in any of the sections. But yes, they might try to play with the number of sets and etc. So therefore, you should be ready with any other pattern that can come in your way. Okay. Now, what are the expectations that I believe is going to be true in this section? First of all, LRDI is, I think that the logical based DI is going to take precedence over plain simple calculations. Even if you have a question which is like pure calculation based, I doubt that it will be more than 1 set. Okay. If you look at last 10 years, logic based DI has always been more than plain simple calculation based DI. So therefore, questions which will require you to interpret the diagram, relate the data, interrelate 2 different tables or 2 different pie charts will definitely take more precedence over plain simple calculation based, addition subtraction based DI. So you should be ready with LR based DI. That is very, very clear. I'm sure you have practiced some sets like that. If you go through the sample paper that has been released on the website, almost all sets that has been given are LR based DI. Okay, so therefore, as I say, that this is something you can easily expect to come. Going by CAT 23 and CAT 20 and 19, again, I'll keep aside 21, because if you remember the last presentation, we had said that CAT 21 was a slight aberration. There are some changes that they had done. This was the second year of COVID, so yeah, some changes were done. But looking beyond that, if you look at again last 10 years, there will be some sets which look typically long and unwinding, बट व्हाट इज गुड थिंग अबाउट दिस सेट्स, अगेन कैट 23 का अगर मैं एक्सपीरियंस से आपको बताऊं कि 2-3 सेट्स बहुत लंबे थे, बट when you start reading you understand that most of the stuff is basic information which you already know. So you have to start skimming information, you have to start skipping information. Some of the informations are important, some of the information are not important. In a typical LR set about arrangements, very clearly all the information is important, but in a DI, if there is a table and the table is self-explanatory, and you will see such question. For example, I am giving you question numbers. Question number 1 and 2 of the sample paper, you will require all the information that is there. Question number 16, I think 16 to 21 if I am not wrong. क्वेश्चन नंबर 16 to 21 वाला जो सेट है उसमें आप देखोगे एक बार ग्राफ का क्वेश्चन है, उसके नीचे एक्सप्लेनेटरी पैराग्राफ है, उसका बहुत खास इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं है. द एक्सप्लेनेटरी पैराग्राफ इज नॉट रियली रिक्वायर्ड. यू स्टार्ट रीडिंग द bar, you will automatically understand the question. So therefore what I am saying is that there can be some information which is extra. You don't really need to never skip any information, but then don't spend too much time on the explanatory paragraph if the question is 80% graph and some 20% text. Okay, there is very unlikely to have a question which has only graph and no explanatory paragraph. Okay, it has never come in the paper. If there is a graph, they generally add an explanation to the graph, which as I said is most of the time not required. Okay, so if you look at the sample paper, go to the CATIM website today, go to the DILR section, you will see question number 1, it is full text. If you go to question number 16 wala set, it is a huge bar graph followed by an explanatory paragraph. Most of the time the explanatory paragraph can be finished off in less than 10 seconds, because once you see the graph you know what it is all about. Okay, so don't get hassled. Most of the information are basic information. One thing therefore you need to do as a strategy, length of data versus number of question analysis is typically something which you will need to take into account. Okay, what I mean by this is a बहुत ज़्यादा text heavy set with just 2 questions is like definitely not my first preference, because वो आपको set पढ़ते पढ़ते ही आपको time खत्म हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, and the general thumb rule for this is that the maximum time limit is 2 minutes into number of questions in that set. Because please understand that none of these questions are carrying some differential marking. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि टेक्स्ट वाले क्वेश्चन आप करोगे तो आपको ज्यादा नंबर मिलेंगे. तो therefore the reading time will take into account very very important. Therefore typically for any set, maximum limit that you can get is 2 minutes into number of questions, which practically means that अगर बहुत लंबा चौड़ा टेक्स्ट है और उसके पीछे 2 ही क्वेश्चन है और ये आप चेक कर लीजिएगा बिल्कुल, ठीक है, तो उसमें मैक्सिमम आप 4 मिनट लगा सकते हो. ठीक है, और अगर आपको ये लगता है कि वो टेक्स्ट पढ़ते पढ़ते 3 मिनट लगेंगे तो फिर इसको पढ़ना ही क्यों. ठीक है, which is where text heavy, diagram light or diagram zero type of sets is definitely something which I don't suggest if the number of questions is less. Okay, now why I am saying this is because you should go to the sample paper and try to understand. This is the first set and therefore I would not have read it. Okay, so the way to approach these sets is you compare at least 2 sets together and then proceed. Okay, now why that is important is because मान लीजिए आपके पास एक सेट है जिसमें 2 क्वेश्चन है टेक्स्ट हैवी और एक सेट है जिसमें 4 क्वेश्चन है which is not so text heavy, it is diagram heavy and text light, और a balance type of a thing जहाँ पे थोड़ा सा डायग्राम है थोड़ा सा टेक्स्ट है. ठीक है, I would prefer obviously this set, ठीक है, which is like text light, diagram heavy, ठीक है, एंड समथिंग लाइक दैट. डायग्राम हेवी का मतलब आपको पूरा डायग्राम तो समझना नहीं है, आपको एक बार आपको समझ में आ गया कि डायग्राम क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है, उसके बाद इट इज क्वेश्चन डिपेंडेंट, राइट. तो अगर मुझे ये प्रेफर करना है, what I am fundamentally saying is if you have already compared these two and you have decided that इसको तो पढ़ते पढ़ते ही मेरा टाइम खत्म हो जाएगा, so therefore this is not a really good idea. For these 4 questions you can typically give yourself at least 10 minutes. Now mind it, I say 2 minutes into number of questions, but क्योंकि आपने already decide कर लिया कि ये 2 क्वेश्चन तो आपको करना नहीं है, theoretically you have a window of 12 minutes. ठीक है, और मैं बोल रहा हूं 10 मिनट तक तो आप इस सेट को दे सकते हो. ठीक है, because by that time you have already decided that this is one set I will not do 30 seconds of time. तो अगर आपको 1 minute भी लग गया है डिसीजन लेने के लिए, I am just saying that these 4 questions you can typically give yourself 10 minutes. Okay, if you remember, I had insisted that आपको बार बार काउंटडाउन क्लॉक की तरफ नहीं देखना है. तो ये अगर आपको पता चल जाए कि ये 4 क्वेश्चन के लिए आपके पास 10 मिनट है, आप पहला 5 मिनट तो सॉल्व करना चालू करो. मतलब यू रीड द क्वेश्चन, टेक योर टाइम, do it sweetly, don't get hassled by the countdown clock. That is what is more important. Okay, this is very very important. The time allotment should be proportional to the marks at stake, and therefore you have to take those calls कि ये set में पढ़ूं भी या पहले ही छोड़ दूं. ठीक है, that is what you will need to do. By the end of the session I will actually share with you, show you what type of questions you can do from the sample paper. That's what I plan to do. Okay, but yes, whether it is text heavy, dependent on number of questions, diagram heavy, text light, or both balanced, this is my preference, generally my preference number 1. Okay, this is my preference number 1, this is my preference number 2. Okay, text heavy and less question definitely is preference number 3. Okay, this is something which you need to do. Now disclaimer, I am going by whatever has happened in last 20 years. If something new comes, you have to be making it proportional to marks at stake. Okay, now I am not saying that differential marking will come. I'm not saying that some of the questions will carry 2 marks and some of the questions will carry 1 mark. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not predicting. But if it happens, then please remember that अगर उसमें 2 क्वेश्चन भी है तो प्रैक्टिकली अगर उसमें मार्क्स ज़्यादा है per question, and therefore if those questions carry 3 marks, those 2 questions can be equivalent to the 4 questions carrying 1 mark each. So मैं तो I will spend more time on those 2 questions rather than 4 questions carrying 1 mark each or 4 questions carrying 3 marks each. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. So therefore you need to be very clearly differentiating based on marks and not number of questions. Read the instructions carefully. I don't remember the exact year. I think it was 2006 or 7. But yes, CAT had differential marking in the paper. So therefore, I'm not brushing away the possibility that CAT might surprise you with a differential marking also. And therefore, your timing distribution should not be based on number of questions. It should be based on marks at stake. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't spend too much time on it, but yeah, understand how many marks are at stake, and based on that, you distribute your time. Okay. Some basics which I think are not going to change and will play an important role in the paper. 1, however LR based or calculation based it is, sweet calculations, approximations, estimation will still save life. Okay, अगर एक क्वेश्चन में भी हुआ, अगर आप कैलकुलेशंस अप्रोक्सीमेशंस नहीं कर रहे हो, अगर आप वही ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से कर रहे हो, अगर आप अभी भी डू दो स्टेप्स लाइक 1330 डिवाइडेड बाय 15670 and then you do the cancelling out of 00, this is the most wasteful step that one can do, because you should have written 133 by 1567 ना. then अगर आपको लिखना ही है तो आप 00 लिख के ही क्यों, 00 लिख के काटने का कोई मतलब नहीं है. So all those bad habits you will need to change. So speed calculations, approximations, estimations, if you are still cancelling out, bringing it to lower terms, these are some of the things which you'll need to avoid clearly. So therefore, this is something which I insist that you still need to practice, you still need to do the analysis, you still need to see alternative ways of solving the questions. This is something which I don't think will change. Okay? It is imperative to be able to see all sets, not necessarily all questions in DI. Again, if you remember, I said that compare 2 sets, at least choose the one which you like and start doing it. If you like both the sets, then give yourself more time. Okay. Luckily, and I'm saying luckily, if you feel that one set, the decision making is very clear, I don't want to do that set, then obviously, you run out of it, and therefore you give more time to the other set. Okay. But yes, it is imperative that you manage your time to be able to see all these sets. ठीक है, नॉट नेसेसरली ऑल द क्वेश्चंस यार. इफ यू रिमेंबर क्वांट के लिए मैंने बोला था सारे क्वेश्चंस आपको जरूर देखने हैं, 5-5 के ग्रुप में देखना है. यहाँ पे आपको सेट्स देखने हैं, डेटा देखना है, क्वेश्चंस नहीं देखना है. याद रखिएगा, डेटा अगर आपको समझ में आ गया, the chances of being able to solve the questions goes as high up as 80 to 90%. तो therefore सेट्स अगर आपको समझ में आ गए, डेटा अगर आपको समझ में आ गया, डेटा का इंटरलिंकिंग्स अगर आपको समझ में आ गए, तो क्वेश्चंस देखना, सारा क्वेश्चंस देखना जरूरी नहीं है. आप यू कैन सी द डेटा, यू कैन सी द डायग्राम, एंड यू शुड बी एबल टू डिसाइड. ओके. गिव योरसेल्फ at least 60 to 70% of the time planned. For example, if you are saying that 4 क्वेश्चन है, आप कम से कम 8 मिनट दोगे, तो 8 मिनट अगर आपने प्लान करके रखा है, उसमें से कम 4.5 मिनट उस क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करना. ठीक है. क्या करते हैं हम लोग 8 मिनट देते तो है, पढ़ना चालू करते हैं और फिर 1 मिनट में ही छोड़ देते हैं. ठीक है. दैट्स टू लेस अ टाइम इन एन एग्जाम लाइक कैट to be deciding whether you will be able to solve the question or not. So unless and until you don't understand the data at all, okay, or you don't understand the question at all, well, एकदम zero blank है, कुछ नहीं समझ में आया, ठीक है, that is a different case altogether, which is very unlikely again. ठीक है. I am insisting that अगर आपने प्लान किया है 8 मिनट, तो उसमें 4.5 मिनट, 5 मिनट तो कम से कम उस क्वेश्चन को ट्राई करने में जरूर लगाइएगा. डोंट गिव अप बिफोर दैट. ठीक है. आपको कम से कम जो आपका अलॉटेड टाइम है ना, उसका कम से कम 50% टाइम तो आपको चाहिए ही चाहिए होगा to decipher the data, read the question, try to understand the data, and so on. Only when you give at least 2, 3, 4 minutes of time to a question, that is where you start understanding the question. That is how you make inroads into the question. That is where you your diagram starts taking a shape. So therefore, don't run away from the question after 1 minute. कि क्वेश्चन तो बहुत बोरिंग है. These are not excuses that you can give yourself. Question बहुत boring है is something which I have heard from a lot of students. Bad idea to give up because the question is boring. Every question is boring. Nobody has made a question to make it interesting. Okay, the idea of that question was to test you. तो ऐसा कोई क्वेश्चन हो ही नहीं सकता जो आपको बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगे और आपके इंटरेस्ट के लिए बनाया गया है. तो स्प्रेड इट ओवर अटेम्प्ट्स, स्प्रेड इट ओवर नॉट अटेम्प्ट्स. एज आई सेड, अगर आपने 2 सेट देखा, पहला सेट में बहुत टेक्स्ट है और 2 ही क्वेश्चन है, आपने डिसाइड कर लिया को नहीं करना है. अगले सेट में अगर 4 क्वेश्चन है, तो डोंट गिव योरसेल्फ 8 मिनट्स, गिव योरसेल्फ 10 मिनट्स एंड ट्राई द क्वेश्चन फॉर एटलीस्ट 5 मिनट्स. इफ आफ्टर 5 मिनट्स यू आर नॉट मेकिंग एनी इनरोड्स एंड यू थिंक दैट नहीं हो पाएगा, देन यू गिव इट अप, नॉट बिफोर दैट. ठीक है. बट एंश्योर दैट जो सेट आपने चालू करा था और जिसमें आपको डेटा समझ में भी आ रहा था, कम से कम उस सेट के सारे क्वेश्चंस आप जरूर देख लो. तो हो सकता है फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा हो, लेकिन हो सकता है सेकंड क्वेश्चन हो जाए या थर्ड क्वेश्चन हो जाए. ठीक है. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम एक बार आपको डेटा समझ में आ जाए, उस सेट में अगर 4 क्वेश्चन है तो उसमें 3 क्वेश्चन तो हो ही जाते हैं. दैट्स हाउ नॉर्मली DILR सेट्स कम अप. ठीक है. इनफैक्ट LR बेस्ड DI जो होते हैं, उसमें अगर एक्चुअली आपने डायग्राम बना लिया, तो आपको क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने में बिल्कुल कोई टाइम नहीं लगेगा, बिकॉज वंस द अरेंजमेंट इज मेड, देन द 4 क्वेश्चंस हैपन खट. ठीक है. तो माय स्ट्रॉन्ग रिकमेंडेशन इज दैट any set, unless it is too easy, which is very unlikely, will require 2 to 3 minutes of time to read, decipher, make a diagram, draw the diagram, do some calculations to do the data. You cannot leave before that, which is why I'm saying give yourself at least 60 to 70% of the time planned to try out the question. Unless, as I said, so the question is long and the data is boring, cannot be the reason. I did not understand the question even after giving 2 minutes. I don't understand the data at all. I don't understand how the data is to be, inferred, is a reason where you can give up after 2-3 minutes. Okay. But other than that, not to be done. Okay. Another important thing is, please remember, once you have started doing a set, ठीक है, याद रखिएगा, the reading time and understanding time is at least 2 minutes. So therefore, doing a complete set is always better than jumping to the next set. ठीक है, तो आपने 6 क्वेश्चन का सेट चालू किया, 3 से क्वेश्चन के बाद आप दूसरे में जंप करते हो, याद रखिएगा उसमें एक जेस्टेशन पीरियड है, उसमें आपको 2-3 मिनट लगेगा नया डेटा को समझने में. इससे अच्छा है कि आप चौथा क्वेश्चन एक बार ट्राई कर लो. ठीक है, विदिन दैट विंडो. सो अगर 6 क्वेश्चन का सेट है, आपने अपने आप को 12 मिनट दिया होगा, तो अगर 12 मिनट का कुछ मिनट बचा हुआ है, you should rather try to solve the 4th question or give some extra time to the 4th question which was not getting solved, rather than reading the next set. Okay, if those 12 minutes are over and you think you are running overshooting the time and etc, or आपका कोई question incomplete है, then put those incomplete questions on review. ठीक है, put it on review so that these are the first questions which are the ones that you want to come back if you have got time. Okay, don't stop practicing and analyzing till 20th. I have always said that once you try a test, you should go back to the solutions, try to see the solution, see alternative methods, you trying out from options, understanding the concept and etc. Till 20th, you should not give up this practice. After 20th, you go light, I don't mind. Okay, but this is very, very important that you keep on doing all these things till 20th of November. Okay, for VARC, the sample paper does not show any change, so most probably we will have 24 questions, 16 questions of RC, 4 passages of 4 questions each, 8 questions of the verbal ability part, which is para completion, para summary, para jumble, critical reasoning, etc, etc. Sentence correction questions and vocabulary based questions have not come in CAT for last 4-5 years, so I'm not sure whether they will come back, but however, English grammar is always required, so whatever you have studied as a part of preparation, continue doing that. CAT has this habit of bringing back some question patterns and etc, so you never know. So I would suggest that sentence correction and vocab based questions जो होते थे पुराने CAT papers में, अभी भी आपके मॉक्स में बहुत जगह में इधर उधर है. ठीक है, पढ़ लीजिएगा. करेक्ट यूजेज ऑफ द वर्ड, grammar rule, subject verb agreement, these are some of the areas where these are being taught in the CAT classes, the CAT books, even if they have not come in the exam very frequently in the last 10 years. But I would suggest that इनको एकदम ignore मत मार दीजिएगा. CAT has this habit of bringing back अजीबोगरीब things. So something new comes, you should be not found getting frustrated over कि ये तो मैंने बिल्कुल नहीं किया, या this is almost unattemptable. ठीक है, तो this is something till 20th of November I would strongly recommend that आप करते रहिएगा. It is important that you keep on doing this. Okay, let's spend a little bit of time on reading comprehension. Why reading comprehension is because this is one type of question which forms almost 2/3 of the section. Okay, so you cannot escape RC. So if somebody is saying मेरा RC weak है, क्या मैं RC dump करके English section कर सकता हूँ? The answer is no. You have to attempt RC if you want to clear VARC cutoff. ठीक है, कोई choice नहीं है आपके पास. RC में आपको कम से कम 2 से 3 सेट तो attempt करना ही पड़ेगा, नहीं तो आपके attempts बहुत कम हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, तो even if RC is not your strong point, I don't see much of an option. You have to attempt RC. अगर RC आप करोगे नहीं तो आपके पास बचा ही 6-7 क्वेश्चन है यार, तो उससे तो कट ऑफ क्लियर नहीं होगा, especially in a VARC section where people tend to attempt almost all the questions. Please understand that the moment your quant is not great, which is true for almost 70 to 80% of the population, they rely on VA and RC, and therefore to maximize their score, they will rely on maximizing the overall score, then worrying about sectional cutoff of quant or sectional cutoff of DILR. There are many institutes in India. The moment you cross, let's say, the top 15 or top 20, most of the institutions in India will look for an overall percentile and not necessarily be very finicky about sectional cutoffs. Okay, they, even if they have sectional cutoffs, their sectional cutoffs are in the range of 50 percentile or 60 percentile. So therefore, what people tend to do is most of the people writing CAT tend to do VARC much more in terms of number of attempts than DILR or quant, which pushes the sectional cutoff for top 10 institutes much higher. Okay, so again, unless and until the VARC is very tough or something like that, आरसी को डंप करना या आरसी को एस्केप करना is simply not possible. ठीक है, तो therefore again a thumb rule, attempt at least 2 to 3 sets in about approximately 25 minutes, or in fundamentally what I am trying to say that is that your number of attempts should be anywhere between 8 to 12 questions of RC in about 25 minutes. ठीक है, 25 minutes आप RC को दीजिए. One thing that I strongly recommend is again RC और VA में हॉप करते मत रहिएगा. पहले एक RC कर लेता हूँ, फिर एक VA करूंगा, फिर RC में वापस आऊंगा. Don't do that. Search out, even if they are scattered. By chance, if all the RCs are together and all the VA are together, then तो अच्छी बात है, आपके लिए solution हो गया. But if it is not the case, finish off your RC in one flow. Finish off the reading part in one flow, and then go to the standalone questions of VA, whether it is parajumble or critical reasoning or whatever they come. Okay, that is how you play the game. Therefore, keep yourself 25 minutes. Try to attempt at least 2 to 3 sets. That is what you'll have to do. The choice of set, again, exactly as length of the passage versus number of questions. If the number of questions are same for all the RC passages, then you choose the shortest passage. ठीक है, प्लीज याद रखिएगा, मैं ये बिल्कुल नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि the shortest passages are the easy ones. It is just that your decision making, whether you'll be able to understand the passage, whether you will be able to answer the questions and etc., will be much quicker. So even if you want to dump this passage, the decision to dump that passage will be quicker than the decision to dump a long passage. So therefore, if all the passages have equal number of questions, always start with the shortest passage. So therefore, the first thing that I am talking about English strategy is you pick up the RC passages. Whether you want to do VA first or RC first is not something I am suggesting. आपको अगर VA कर लेना है तो कर लीजिए 15 मिनट में, but do all the RCs together and compare the 4 RCs first. ठीक है, in terms of length versus number of questions and your comfortable subject. ठीक है, कि आपको फिलोसफी ज्यादा पसंद है कि डेटा बेस्ड आरसी ज्यादा पसंद है. दैट इज योर कॉल दैट यू हैव टू टेक. आई एम श्योर यू नो योर कंफर्ट जोन्स एंड सो ऑन. ठीक है, सो फर्स्ट चूज द वन व्हिच इज शॉर्ट एंड इन योर कंफर्ट जोन. द फर्स्ट डिसीजन इज टू बी शॉर्ट, द सेकंड डिसीजन इज टू बी योर कंफर्ट जोन. दोनों मिल जाए बहुत अच्छी बात है, दोनों एक साथ नहीं मिल रहा है. शॉर्ट पैसेज शुड बी द फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस. First 2 minutes of reading, the first 20% of the passage, you should do it 100% attendance, with 100% attention, complete attention. First 2 paragraphs, you should be with absolute saintly attention. ठीक है, वो नहीं समझ में आया तो बाकी पैसेज आपको डेफिनेटली समझ में नहीं आएगा. ठीक है, तो द फर्स्ट 20 to 30% ऑफ द पैसेज वी शुड बी विद सेंटली अटेंशन. मतलब नथिंग, द वर्ल्ड शुड सीज अराउंड यू. ठीक है, नो काउंटडाउन क्लॉक, देयर इज नो नेबर दैट यू हैव, यू आर नॉट इन द वर्ल्ड. 100% whatever attention you can garner, that should be put on reading the first 20 to 30% of the passage. And the last 20% of the passage, that is the conclusion part of the passage, is again something where you bring 100% attention. Okay, that will help you to comprehend the passage very well. याद रखिएगा बीच में, this is where the context gets built, this is where the solution or the conclusion gets built. बीच में most of the time it is information, data, instances and etc. Generally that is how the structures are looking on. Now again remember, I'm always saying with a pinch of salt that not necessarily they can be done. But yes, this strategy has works for most of the passages, 80 to 90% of the passages that has come in CAT over last 20-30 years. So therefore, अगर आप उस पैसेज को शुरू से नहीं समझोगे, first 2 minutes of reading, whether it is the vocab, whether it is the language, you need to comprehend 100% over it. Okay? If you are not making a headway with the first 20% of the passage, you can move on. Don't hesitate to move on. ठीक है? ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, मैं आपको ये बार बार बताता हूं कि ऐसा हो नहीं सकता कि सारे आरसी स्टाफ आएंगे. एक इजी सेट तो होगा ही होगा, होना ही पड़ेगा. ठीक है? कैट कैन नॉट चूज स्टूडेंट्स based on very low score. CAT has to give enough scope to establish 100 percentile, establish 190 percentile, establish 180 percentile, and so on. ठीक है? That is how the paper is made. They make a paper which will spread over a normal curve. ठीक है? तो जरूरी है कि अगर आप पहला 20% पढ़ के आपको कुछ समझ में नहीं आया पेपर का, लैंग्वेज टफ था, टॉपिक टफ था, सब्जेक्ट टफ था, even if it is the shortest passage of the paper, don't hesitate to move on. First 2 minutes of reading should be able to give you that confidence whether I stay with the passage or move on from the passage. Okay? अभी तक आपने किया होगा, I don't want you to experiment now, but if you have already experimented, you will know what works for you. Question followed by passage reading or passage पढ़ने के बाद doing the questions. ठीक है? Whichever style suits you, I don't mind. But you must be knowing till now. ज्यादा से ज्यादा आप अगले 2 दिन एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हो, उससे ज्यादा ये एक्सपेरिमेंट मत कीजिएगा. See what suits you. Be open to change, but stick to, at least as of now, with a mindset when you are walking inside the test room, stick to what is working for you more. Okay? Over the next 4-5 days, practice different genres. Okay? Especially your weak ones. For example, if you think that philosophy is something where I am bad in, or questions which ask for the tone of the passage, I am very bad in. Okay? These are some things which you should practice. So I will share with you the Campus Sutra test again by the end of the session, where you can practice, where you can get a lot of practice questions from there. But practice different genres, especially the ones you are weak in. You have to be ready that if your strong genre does not come, you should be able to adapt to the weak genres. ठीक है? तो ये जो अगले कुछ दिन है, 4-5 दिन है, make sure that you practice these things. Give yourself 2 minutes of time. Try to stick to RC for the first 25 minutes or the last 25 minutes. Plan your time well. Compare the sets, compare length of the passage versus number of questions. And based on that, जो 20% ऊपर और 20% नीचे का मैंने आपको बोला, वो आपको practice करना है over the next few days and on the day of CAT, of course. Important pointers. Generally, the questions will avoid all extreme inferences. So if there are, inferences, something like all of them, never said it was done, every time it was done, those inferences are generally never the right answer. These are easy eliminations. Okay. I'm sure you have done connectives, you have done if then wale question. So if I push the door will open. Does not necessarily reach to a conclusion or infer that if the door is open, that it must have been pushed. Okay. If P, then Q generally leads to if not Q, then not P. Okay. That is the only inferential conclusion. So revise those concepts. Outliers, out of context options. These are some of the things that, some of the new information that is not mentioned in the passage at all. All those things are quick eliminations when it comes to RC. So therefore, especially in RC, and if critical reasoning comes, move from wrong to right, eliminate options which are definitely wrong, which are out of context, which are extreme, which are not following the theory of connectives. Okay, they will help you to reach to an answer quicker then trying to read every option and then finalizing on an answer. Generally, unless you have practiced enough and your vocabulary is good, you should not try to attempt tone of the passage question. Tone of the passage questions are vocabulary based. If you don't know the difference between sarcasm and humor, if you don't know the difference between funny and sarcasm, what is the interface and etc., if you don't know the difference between analytical and critical, okay, if you don't know the difference between disappointment and disdain, such type of vocabulary and the usage of the word becomes very, very important for tone of the passage. If you have not practiced vocabulary, if you have not practiced word usage and etc., I strongly recommend that you should stay away from tone of the passage questions. Okay, this is something which you should do. Verbal ability questions, please remember, you cannot spend more than, for the 8-9 questions if they come, you cannot spend more than 15 minutes. Practice para jumbles, para completions, revise those cues. Sentence starting with a pronoun cannot be the first sentence. If it starts with a he or they could not have been the first sentence of the paragraph. There has to be a subject. All these cues you already know, I'm sure. I'm not really revising the concept. Connectives like hence, but has to have a sentence or a context before it. All questions, all, some to all. Okay, these are some of the questions which definitely those revisions and those cues you should revise over the next 3, 4, 5 years, 5 days. Theta questions are a must attempt. So even if in the 15th minute of verbal ability you have got a theta question, you don't think you have time, definitely mark. Theta questions you must attempt. Remember, theta questions as of now, last standard is that they do not carry negative marking. So therefore, theta questions are a definite answer. Theta is type in the answer wale questions. जहाँ पे MCQs नहीं है, options नहीं है, you type in the answer in the blank given. Okay, so they are must attempt. Critical reasoning. I have a hunch that critical reasoning will come back. The reason is that the paper is being conducted by IIM Calcutta this year, and IIM Calcutta has traditionally a little bias towards analytical thinking, critical thinking, etc. So therefore, if English critical reasoning comes back, I will not be surprised. Please revise strengthening, weakening questions. Understand the difference between assumptions. What is an assumption? What is an inference? What is the difference between what is the flaw in the argument versus which one of these will weaken the argument? Okay, please have a look out for which one of them may be true versus must be true. Which one of them is if true. Okay, now if true, please remember, will be something which is not given in the passage but is an extra information. You cannot eliminate them saying they're out of context. If true का मतलब ये है कि additional information है. Which one of the following, if true, will make this strengthen or weaken, will mean that ये information passage में, original passage में नहीं था. On the other hand, which one of the following may be true based on the passage above is something which is not out of context. You will have to read the passage and from there you infer without any additional information or any new information. So all these differences and etc. is something which you need to keep in mind while looking at the paper. Campus Sutra has got lot of tests on their website. You should visit campussutra.com /mock-test. Okay, you can see the link name that I'm sharing. You go to campussutra.com. They have got mock tests, they have got DILR tests, they have got VARC tests. Okay, these are some of the things that you should be able to see on the Campus Sutra website. Okay, there are DILR mock sets, they give detailed analysis. These are some of the things which you should definitely go and attempt. Okay, now I want to just quickly show you the official paper that has come. Give me just a second. Let me log in. Yeah. Let me see whether I can share it with you. Yeah, I hope you can see the official sample paper that has come. Now this sample paper, now this is the interesting part, that this sample paper, when you so this, first of all, you should attempt, definitely attempt. Okay, there is no question asked. Everybody who is preparing for the paper should attempt this paper. Okay, 100%. Now the only thing that I wanted to show out this paper is, let me submit the English section. Let me show you the DILR section. Now this is what I was talking about, that DILR section mein, if you look at question number 1, okay, so interesting thing was, when I was attempting the paper, this was question number 16, but anyway, okay. So this is question number 1, and as you can see, this is more diagram heavy. So it looks like they keep on changing it depending on when you attempt it. But yeah, this is a diagram heavy paper, and you can see that this is mostly counting, and you can see that it says sales in million rupees. Okay, and then they explained it. Horizontal bars, talk about sales in million rupees of a company for different subcategories of its product. Okay, and it does not really matter. So now the only thing that you need to understand is what is this division that they're showing. And you can see that they're saying that for each product there are subcategories. There is a vertical line indicate the sales of the corresponding subcategory in 2019. Okay, once you have seen the diagram, then you go to see question number 2. This is also this thing. Question number 3 also this. Question number 4 also this. Okay, question number 5 is a text heavy question. Can you see? Okay, and question number 6 is a text heavy question. Question number 7 you go is a text heavy. Question number 8 you go is text heavy. 9, question number 10, all based on this text. Okay, so you practically have now got one diagram based set, 4 questions, one text heavy set, 6 questions, and there is not much to choose. So therefore I can only tell you that here I don't get to choose much. You definitely can try either of the 2 sets or try both the sets and give yourself 20 minutes window. That should be your attempt, and none of the sets you give less than 3 to 4 minutes per set. Okay, now I'll just show you. I am sure so this is question number 11 and 12, 13, 14. You can see there are 4 questions. Okay, 15, 16, and you can see that question number 15 and question number 16 were the only 2 questions based on this set. Okay, 17, question number 17, the question changed. 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So therefore, as you can see, that question number 15 and 16 were the only 2 questions based on this set. So now therefore, if you think that, देखो इसमें आप मैक्सिमम 4 मिनट लगा सकते हो. ठीक है, तो अगर आपको लगता है कि ये तो पढ़ते पढ़ते समझने में 4 मिनट लग जाएगा, and you know there are too much of reading, there is a table, and then there is an explanation, and then there is 4 people, and I will not be able to solve it in 4 minutes. You dump this set and you start doing the corresponding set, और इसमें जो आप 4 मिनट लगाने वाले थे उसमें जो 3 मिनट बचा हुआ है वो आप दूसरे सेट को दे सकते हो. This is what I mean when I am talking about the strategy for this paper. Okay, so okay, let me come back. Yeah, so whenever you are doing this paper, make sure you do your strategies likewise, and that is how you play with it. Yeah, so all these things you will get it in the Campus Sutra website. You should go there, you should check them out, you should practice those strategies that I have talked about. This should fairly take care of whatever preparation you are doing. And therefore, just to sum up whatever we discussed, I strongly recommend that अगले मतलब आज क्या है, फ्राइडे है, ठीक है, मंडे के बाद से एक्सपेरिमेंट मत करिएगा, ठीक है. स्टिक टू योर ओरिजिनल प्लान. Be ready to adapt in the paper if something different comes. Be open to that, but chances of big drastic change is unlikely, and therefore I would strongly recommend that Monday के बाद experiments मत करिए. Stick to your strong areas, stick to your subjects that you know, stick to the type of strategies that you have decided for yourself. Okay, be ready to attempt. As I said, it cannot be all unattemptable questions. If you want to refer to what did I did in CAT 23, you can always look at the video that we did last week. One important thing is have faith in yourself, okay, and your preparation. If you are prepared for at least 2.5-3 months, if you are finding it tough, it must be tough for all. If you are finding it easy, it is easy for all. Okay, so therefore have faith in yourself and your preparation. Be ready to change during the exam. If something new comes, please understand that it is true for everybody, and therefore change likewise. If there is differential marking, change your time management from number of questions to number of marks. If the sets has been changed in a manner, again you see question length dependent on number of questions and etc, and based on that take a call. RC, you know what I have told you to do, but yeah, after Monday you don't experiment. Okay, stick to your strong areas both in terms of subject knowledge as well as strategy. That should work out the most. Okay, now one very important thing is that one day before CAT, on the day of CAT, we get very busy with how much am I going to score in CAT. ठीक है, और उस पे हम लोग 3-4 दिन लगा देते हैं looking at analysis given by Campus Sutra, looking at analysis given by some other coaching institute. 15 coaching institutes का वीडियो देख लिया, YouTube में सारा दिन बैठे रहे 25 तारीख को, looking at कितना CAT स्कोर आने वाला है, मेरे को कितना मिलेगा, कुछ नहीं पता चलेगा दोस्त. ठीक है, तो therefore one very important suggestion is that on the day of CAT, one day before CAT, please don't go for those last minute tips and etc. The last minute tips will tell you to calm down and watch a movie, or to relax, or to reach the center at least half an hour before the designated time. These are the last minute tips, and you know them. You are matured enough to do it. I'm sure you are not going to bungle up saying that अगर 7:30 बजे रिपोर्टिंग टाइम है तो 7:35 को भी पहुंच जाऊंगा तो चलेगा. प्लीज डोंट हैव एनी सच आइडियाज. 7:30 बजे अगर पहुंचना है, सुबह उन्होंने बोला है रिपोर्टिंग टाइम 7:30 बजे है तो 7:30 बजे पहुंचना है. आप देखो उसके लिए क्या करने का जरूरत है. ठीक है, बट पहुंचना है 7:30 बजे. ठीक है, इवन इफ योर प्रैक्टिकल सेंस इज दैट 8 बजे ही गेट खुलेगा, नो, 7:30 बजे गेट खोल देंगे, आप क्या करोगे? इसका अच्छा ये नहीं है कि आप लाइन के फर्स्ट में रहो, सबसे पहले सेंटर पहुंच जाओ, वहां पे जाके रिलैक्स करो, सेंटर के अंदर जाके रिलैक्स करो यार, rather than keeping up this headache कि मैं लेट हो रहा हूँ, this that जैम हो गया है, रास्ता भीड़ हो गया है, and all that stuff. So don't do that. Don't worry about those last minute tip videos by a lot of experts that come up nowadays on YouTube. Stick to your basics, and that should be done on the day of CAT and after the day of CAT. Please don't wait too much time on analyzing the paper. We will do an analysis in campussutra.com. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to really watch 5 different YouTube channels for it. Stick to one. Most of them will be talking about the same thing. You will not get an idea about how much you scored on the next day. Very, very difficult to infer. So don't lose out on the focus that there are multiple exams coming up. Very less time to prepare. You have to prepare for decision making of that. You have to prepare for calculation based question of SNAP or Nasimonji and etc. So therefore yeah, that's how you should plan for the next 7 days. Yeah. Nirmala, if you can take over.
Thank you so much, Dhruv sir. It has been great as usual. So, a couple of things which I have noted down was like one, you have said lot of data, less of content. We should allocate. I mean, lot of data with data with less of content. 2 questions. That should be.
I mean, I basically, okay, let me reframe the sentence. I said if there is lot of text, okay, and less of diagram, followed by very few number of questions, that is a very easy elimination in terms of attempt. टेक्स्ट अगर बहुत ज्यादा है, जैसे मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिखाया था अभी कि जो सैंपल पेपर में दिया हुआ है उसमें ऑलमोस्ट 8 लाइन का टेक्स्ट था और एक टेबल था एंड ओनली 2 क्वेश्चंस, एंड द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट रीडिंग इट यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट उस क्वेश्चन को पढ़ते हुए ही 4 मिनट खत्म हो जाएंगे. तो देयरफॉर एनीवे आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी एबल टू सॉल्व द पेपर विद इन 4 मिनट्स.
Correct.
So there easy eliminations. आधे मिनट में डिसाइड कर लीजिए कि इसको करना नहीं है और उसका जो एलोकेटेड टाइम था वो दूसरे सेट में दे दीजिए.
So
That's
talking about allocated time, you said that the time should, if it is the reading time is more than 2 minutes, then one should skip.
No, I said if that set has got 6 questions, you give yourself 12 minutes and you don't give up on that set before at least 50% of the allocated time. Unless and until 2 मिनट पढ़ने के बाद भी आपको कुछ पता नहीं चला.
So to simplify this, diagram heavy, content less should be the first preference.
Absolutely. Diagram heavy, text less is definitely the first preference because this is easy. I am not saying this is going to be an easy question. I am just saying the decision making as to whether you go ahead with the question or not is fastest.
Great. The other thing which you also said is don't run away if the question is too long or seems to be boring. Now
Correct.
there is a like some kind of confusion on my end. So how do I draw the line?
I don't want to draw the line in terms of so this I said specific to, let's say, first of all RC or DI, not really for verbal ability, but generally when it is too much of text, let's say there are 7 lines or 8 lines, okay, the moment the student sees that you have to read a lot, the student decides यार ये तो बहुत लंबा क्वेश्चन है, बहुत डायग्राम बनाना पड़ेगा, मेरे से तो नहीं होगा. ठीक है, that should not be the excuse. If there are 6 questions in that set, आपके पास 12 मिनट है ना, तो spend 4 minutes of time reading that question. Try to solve. Maybe after you have read for 4 minutes, you make a central diagram. और उससे अगर अगले 6 क्वेश्चन खटखट हो जाते हैं, you look at the diagram, you see question number 1 and you say who is to the left of him, tick. Who is sitting in the middle of the row, tick.
So talking of diagram, while we read the question, should we also take the pencil and also try to make a diagram while we read instead of waiting for the entire reading to happen and to finish?
If you can, yes. If you can, definitely yes. ठीक है, you may not. मतलब प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट अबाउट द इंटेंट. कभी कभार क्या होता है, आपको क्वेश्चन का शुरुआत पॉइंट ही पता नहीं चलता कहां से शुरू करोगे, तो उसके लिए शायद आपको पूरा पढ़ना पड़े. But if you find those points wherein you can start the diagram, yes, why not? Absolutely.
So basically, one has to feel comfortable of whatever he is doing instead of getting into a mode of analysis paralysis during the exam.
Absolutely.
Rather than just take a thumb rule.
And all I am saying is a good standard set of DI. आपको पढ़ के समझने में, चालू करने में क्वेश्चन में आपको कम से कम 3 मिनट लगेंगे. ठीक है, आपको डेटा समझ के, अंडरस्टैंडिंग द डेटा, लुकिंग एट द क्वेश्चन, लुकिंग एट द डायग्राम, and then starting to do the question 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes में कम में आप नहीं कर पाओगे most of the time. If you are leaving the question look, but going by the look of the question and saying that बस ये तो मुझसे नहीं होगा, you are not doing justice to the question.
But our mind at times, work like that. Like, there's a huge content and, less of diagram. We tend to get that. But maybe that is an easier question. That also is...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why I'm saying that क्वेश्चन को उतना टाइम देना जरूरी है.
And knowing the cat trend, this might be also a kind of, that okay, this might be a easy question, but it appears and kind of, seems to be a tough question.
Absolutely.
So that has to be kind of seen. Okay, the other thing which you also mentioned is, when quant is not going great, maybe one should be relying on more on VARC and DILR. Right?
Okay. So first thing is that you cannot.
The data, you also said that there's a 70 to 80% chance that of the entire population, the cat population, which essentially translates to the figure that okay, they may not have done great in quant.
All I can tell you is that you cannot decide during the exam, because mandatorily the first section that is going to come is VARC. Then it is going to come DILR. Then it is going to come as quant. So you don't have a choice कि मेरा quant खराब गया तो VARC अच्छा करूँगा. That choice is not there.
Which means कि VARC में हमें जोर लगाना है.
हाँ, बिल्कुल जोर लगाना है. In fact, if you are one of those students जो अभी तक fortunately or unfortunately in your mocks have not been able to cross the 70 percentile threshold, you should definitely work on maximizing your score rather than I will say accuracy and this and that and etc. Because the moment you are crossing those top 15-20 institutes, the so-called the top ones, ठीक है, इनको अगर छोड़ दिया जाए, उसके बाद से most of the business schools will look for overall score and not really sectional cutoff.
That's very important, because a lot of people also are worried about sectional cutoffs, which should not be right now at the top of the mind. Right now it should be only the overall cutoffs and not the sectional cutoffs.
Which is why अगर आपका क्वांट आज तक, मैं 24 नवंबर का बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, एग्जाम के दिन का या एग्जाम लिखते हुए बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बट जनरली अगर आपका क्वांट खराब है और आपको पता है कि क्वांट से बहुत ज्यादा उम्मीद नहीं है, तो VARC पे जान लगाना है, इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. VARC में क्वेश्चन छोड़ के मत आइएगा. टीटा क्वेश्चन जरूर मार्क करिएगा, कोशिश करिएगा कि जितना क्वेश्चन हो सकता है अटेम्प्ट करें. मैं अंधाधुन खेलने नहीं बोल रहा हूँ.
Tita questions are important. You also mentioned this in the last session.
Tita is mandatory to be attempted.
Tita do not have a negative marking. So Tita question is absolutely must.
Correct. So Tita question तो आपको attempt करना ही है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ number of attempts generally traditionally in CAT in VARC is as high as 80% of the number of questions. Now, if I compare that with DILR and quant, it generally comes down to 50 or even sometimes 40. ठीक है, तो ट्रेडिशनली जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल बहुत लोग बोलते हैं मेरा आरसी ठीक नहीं है, तो मैं आरसी नहीं करूंगा, मैं पूरा टाइम में खाली VA करके आऊंगा. दैट विल नॉट वर्क, बिकॉज दैट विल मीन दैट यू विल बी एबल टू अटेम्प्ट ओनली 10 क्वेश्चंस. जबकि 70% जनता VARC के भरोसे कैट लिखने जा रहा है.
करेक्ट.
तो आपका क्या होगा कि आपका ओवरऑल स्कोर ही हिट नहीं करेगा.
करेक्ट.
तो आरसी छोड़ के आप VARC सोच नहीं सकते.
वेरी ट्रू. So overall cutoff score should be the main point here, the main objective here, not the sectional cutoff score. That is very important. Okay, we have a lot of mock tests which are there offered by campussutra.com, and these are free, and as much as you want to take, one can take it and also judge the 70 percentile or 80% and whatever one is able to hit the scores. Now the other thing which you also mentioned here is after 20th November not to take too much of stress, which I agree to a great extent. One should probably watch a movie or go around easy, but at the same time people like there are a lot of people like me who were average student and who feel, I'm talking about a psychological this thing, if I don't revise what I have already read, I might tend to forget it during the D-Day.
रिवाइज करिए, टेस्ट मत लीजिए, मॉक टेस्ट मत लीजिए, रिवाइज करिए ना. पुराने मॉक कैट्स उठाइए, रिवाइज कीजिए. मैंने पढ़ाई बंद करने के लिए नहीं बोला है, मैंने स्ट्रेस कम लेने के लिए बोला है. तो आई एम नॉट सेइंग, फॉर एग्जांपल, आई एम एब्सोल्युटली नॉट सेइंग दैट यू शुड गो टू अ पार्टी एंड गो डांस एंड गो टू अ डिस्को. नो, दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली नॉट व्हाट आई एम सजेस्टिंग. पढ़ाई कीजिए, रिवाइज कीजिए, कॉन्सेप्ट्स को लेट जाइए, सोफे में लेट जाइए, बिस्तर में लेट जाइए, पन्ने पलटते रहिए, take your laptop, go through them. All I am saying is don't take those 2 hour tests. सारा दिन बैठ गए, एनालिसिस करते रहे, एक क्वेश्चन नहीं हुआ, पैनिक कर गए. आपने 22 तारीख को एक पेपर लिया, अभी तक आपके 95 परसेंटाइल आ रहे थे. 22 तारीख को आपने पेपर लिया, उसमें 30 परसेंटाइल आ गया. यू पैनिक एंड यू गो बॉन्कर्स. दिस इज समथिंग यू शुड अवॉइड. इनफैक्ट 20 तारीख के बाद कोई फुल लेंथ टेस्ट मत लीजिए. Because there is a high chance you are under so much pressure, there is a high chance naturally the score comes down.
Correct.
It is not a reflection of your preparation at all, most
Correct.
of the time.
So today we are on 15th and maybe till 20th we can take as much as possible the mock test, and there is plenty of mock tests on campussutra.com. People can come and take it and till 20th of course, and after that one should probably watch a movie or a series, something. Any kind of suggestions for that, which movie to watch?
Don't watch Citadel, Honey Bunny. Lot of खून मार सब मारपीट है. थोड़ा रिलैक्सेशन वाला हल्का फुल्का देखिए.
I would suggest and strongly recommend mindless picture. Mindless.
हाँ, मतलब something which relaxes you. I mean, you should not do.
जिसमें दिमाग नहीं लगाना.
रिलैक्स कर जाइए is basically the idea.
Correct.
आपको मूवी देखना है, गाने सुनिए, रिलैक्स कीजिए. अगर आपको मूवी नहीं देखना है, अगर आपको लगता है कि आइडिया बहुत फ्रिवुलस है, ऐसे कैसे मैं एग्जाम से पहले मूवी देखूंगा, डोंट. आई एम सेइंग टेस्ट मत लीजिए, टेस्ट को एनालिसिस करने मत बैठिए. दैट इज व्हाट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट.
No, I know of people. In fact, my sister, younger sister, she used to, she's a very good student. And once before the exam, I asked her, okay, I will take a test. So I took the book and started taking a test, and whatever I asked, she used to promptly reply. Then what I did was I asked her the question that which printing press this book was printed. She also gave me that answer. So then I said, "Chalo, let's go and watch a movie." She said, "Let's go." So we went out to a movie hall and we watched a movie, and then anyway, so that's another.
The disclaimer was that she is a very good student. Please understand that out of 3.29 lakh people, the number of not so good students is much higher.
Okay. Now again, coming to that good student question, you also mentioned here that knowing IIM Calcutta, they would be probably a little biased over analytics.
Reasoning based questions. Yes, analytical questions, reasoning based questions. Again, please understand this is not a prediction or a forecast. This is based on whenever IIM Calcutta has prepared a paper, we have seen logical questions more over direct application questions, direct data-based reasoning questions or something like that. So it's a trend. People should be prepared to see such questions more.
Great. Thank you so much. And moving ahead, we are probably not having a session on 22nd unless until we get a lot of queries which needs to be answered by you.
Sure.
We are keeping the next session on 25th. That is one day after CAT, which is on 24th, and we would have a full analysis of the set of question papers. So till then, we wish everybody the very best. Stay calm, stay cool. CAT is just an entry level to your MBA. It is not the end of the road. There are multiple other things which you need to cross, and of course, you have to be smart enough to address it, not get panicked. Even if you are panicked, come back fast. Watch our past sessions in the YouTube. Take as much as mock as you can in the Campus Sutra site. And that's all for now, till we meet again on 25th of November. Thank you so much.
All the best, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.